All right. Hello there. Long time no see. It is I, Jordan, aka Defcos, One Piece fanboy extraordinaire. So it is what time is it? 6:11. I took a nap yesterday and woke up at like what time did I wake up? It was pretty late. It was like in the evening sometime. And then I stayed up for Capcom Cup. I was watching Capcom Cup on the Battle Hub in Street Fighter 6. But there were a lot of like technical issues, so I stopped watching and I tried going back to bed. And I laid in bed for a couple hours and I couldn't really go back to sleep, so I was like, "You know what? I think now would be a good time to actually make a video about my thoughts about the second season of the live action One Piece show on Netflix. Um, so, so I don't know anybody who's been paying attention, not that many people as usual, but I've been posting a lot of video game footage on this channel. Recently, like for the past few months, that's what I've been posting. Um, so not exactly what I was doing before, as far as like One Piece reviews and various manga reviews and stuff. But I still do want to do all that stuff too. But I don't know. I guess I figured I'm playing video games anyway. I might as well upload the footage and see if anybody watches it or likes watching me play or whatever. Anyway, I digress. Um, Whoops. So One Piece season two. Um, I gotta say, way better than season one in my opinion. I felt like they did a way better job following the manga, um, like the source material. Basically, I felt like they did a way better job. You know, there's still some changes here and there, but that you can't do anything about that. Like that should be expected. All I ask is for the changes to be well thought out, and I hopefully they add something that wasn't there before, as far as the story goes. And I feel like they did that for the most part in season two, which was something that I felt was lacking from season one. In season one, and I actually mentioned this. I made a video back in the day when season one came out about my thoughts about season one, and I feel this way about any adaptation. Uh, you have to you have the changes have to improve on the story, or at least like sometimes like they can't take away from the story. Like if they're different but it's still good, then sure you can make it different but still good. If you make it different but better, that's what we want. But in season one, I felt like a lot of the differences were not as good as the source material. So that was my problem with season one. A lot like in season one, like the flashbacks were pretty close to the manga, and like a lot of like the islands they go to were basically, you know, similar to the manga. Um, God, that's annoying if that keeps happening. Um, but um, but a lot of the changes were just not to my personal liking. I suppose if you haven't read the manga or you haven't watched the anime and you're coming into the One Piece story via the live action, in that case, I suppose you might appreciate it and like it for what it is. But as someone who's been a One Piece fan for like literally over 20 years reading the manga, like I want to say at least how long has it been? Yeah, like 24, 26 years that I've been reading One Piece. Somebody like me, you want to see the manga like, you know, represented on the screen, basically. Um, and like it's gonna be different, sure, but it has to be like you have to use the manga as like a guide. Like one of my favorite comic book movies is actually Sin City. If you haven't seen the movie Sin City, I would recommend checking it out. But what they did with Sin City was they basically used the comic book as like a storyboard. Like the storyboard for the movie was the comic book, and it's like that's the perfect way to make a comic book movie or like a comic book adaptation, because I mean that's basically what a comic book is, right? It's like a storyboard. So you don't have to make a new storyboard. You don't have to invent anything. Just use the comic. And like I understand there are budget constraints and you have to cut things out because you have a limited amount of time to tell a certain god damn it to tell a certain amount of story. um like they had to fit like the Logtown, Whiskey Peak, and Drum Island into 8 episodes. So yeah, you're gonna cut some stuff out. Like that makes sense, but I feel like they did it pretty well in season 8. Um, I mean season 8, season 2. Uh, and the changes, like a lot of the changes that they made, I didn't bump into them as much as I bumped into the ones in season 1. Like it just flowed better. It flowed way better. Um, and I don't know why they didn't have this approach with season 1. Like I really wish they had done this from the get go, like from season 1 on. Anyway, at least they're doing it now, and I'm so glad they did. One of the changes that I felt was really effective um, was the addition of Bartolomeo and Brooke this early on in the show, because if you read the manga or watch the anime, those characters, they don't show up for like hundreds and hundreds of chapters and episodes. Like they don't show up for a while before we get to even see them for the first time. But once we get to know those characters, we know that they were around. Like they were around even though we didn't see them and we hadn't met them yet in the story. Like the Straw Hats hadn't met them yet, but we know that they were around and they were, like for example, Bartolomeo. It was mentioned that he was at Logtown and he saw Luffy almost get executed, and that's what kickstarted his love of Luffy and the Straw Hats. And so it makes so much sense. Like it literally blew my mind when Bartolomeo showed up in, like, I think it was the first episode. I'm pretty sure it was like the first episode of season 1, and season 2. Jesus, and yeah, it just blew my mind when I saw him, and he looked just like him. He looked exactly like the character from the manga, and it just made me so happy to see him, because of course Bartolomeo, like he's a fan favorite. Like everybody loves Bartolomeo because we all kind of feel like Bartolomeo as fans of One Piece. Um, so he's a great character to add this early on, and you don't really see like his fandom for Luffy at this point, but that makes sense because he hasn't developed those feelings yet. Like he doesn't know how much he loves Luffy yet. So, but it makes sense to see him. It makes sense that he's there. So that was great. I also like seeing Brooke. Seeing Brooke was cool. It makes 100% perfect sense that he's black. um, a lot, a lot of, a lot of characters in the anime. I guess in the manga it's black and white, but in the anime, like a lot of characters are like typically like light skinned. I mean, I guess you can say this about most anime in general, but Like most characters are like pretty light skinned, generally speaking. Some anime will introduce like dark skinned characters and do it well. Like Cowboy Bebop was a good one. That's the only one that comes to mind at the moment. But yeah. So it makes perfect sense that Brook is black. He has an afro. He plays all kinds of instruments. He's the soul king. Like it makes total sense that, I mean, he's a black guy. Like even though in the anime he's like light skinned, I think it's fair, and he's a skeleton. But like when he's alive, he's light skinned. Um, I think it's safe to assume that Brook is black. So that was cool. The whole, like, everything was just so good, and like the acting is good too. Like that's something that like I'm so happy about because like the casting is good. The acting and the casting is really good. Like it's like they're not hiring like second rate actors or second rate like anything. Like it's all done really well with love and care. And it's like even though what was I gonna say? Damn, lost my train of thought. Fuck. Anyway, hopefully it'll come back to me. But yeah, but it was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed season two. I'm very excited for season three. I really hope they keep going for as long as possible. Um, the problem is, and I know this is on everybody's mind, like how long can they realistically go? Because obviously they're not gonna go for 30 years or like however long the manga's been going. Like obviously that's not gonna be the case. So I was thinking maybe it'll end after Enos Lobby. Although yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I mean the manga is winding down. Relatively speaking, of course. We still have years to go with the manga based on like how the story is being told and like the pacing and whatnot. Like the the manga is gonna go on for another, I don't know, 5 years maybe, around there, something like that. Maybe less, maybe more. I mean, they're at Elbaf. They have to go to I mean, I don't know what's gonna be after Elbaf, but we know they have to go to Laugh Tale and then go to or go to what's it called, Lodestar, and then go to Laugh Tale. So that's two more islands at least. And unless and presumably the Laugh Tale arc is going to be really long. It would be kind of anticlimactic if it wasn't a long arc. It doesn't have to be the longest arc necessarily, but it has to be. I think it has to be a decent sized arc at least. And I guess Lodestar could be a relatively short arc. Um, but then what's gonna happen in between? Those islands. Usually something happens in between the islands. Um, we're probably gonna get more flashbacks. There's a lot of questions that still haven't been answered, and there's still more questions being raised, almost with every single chapter that comes out. You think we'd start answering questions, and we have answered some, but there are also more questions that keep being raised, and it's like, okay, so now we have to wait and know what's gonna happen with this or whatever. But so anyway, hopefully One Piece ends. Well, I don't want it to end, but presumably it's gonna end within like the next few years or whatever. So maybe by the time it ends, the live action will be in a place where they can basically skip like the whole middle part, which sucks to say, but I think that's what they're gonna have to do. And then like they just go straight to Laugh Tale. Like the last season is Laugh Tale, and so basically we're just not getting like we're not getting like a bunch of the arcs in between, but um yeah, I don't know. That's just a thought. I don't know how they're gonna do it. I hope they. I mean, I imagine they want to conclude the story, and like in the live action, they're talking about they're talking about One Piece, and they're talking about Laugh Tale, and they're talking about finding the One Piece and stuff. So I'm guessing that means that by the end of the series, of the live action, that they're gonna find the One Piece. So are they gonna like Game of Thrones it and just make up stuff? I hope that's not what they do. Or are they gonna wait for the manga to get there and then just fast forward to that point in the manga and then follow the manga like the end chapters basically. Um, and then that way the Straw Hat actors won't be too old. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I hope it goes. I hope it plays out well. Season two was amazing. I enjoyed every single episode, which is way more than I can say about season one. Season one wasn't complete, trash. It had its moments. Um, there were still parts that did follow the manga pretty closely, but the parts that where they changed it drastically, I really didn't like that because if you change it drastically, like I said, it has to be an improvement. And if it's not an improvement, there's no point because why would you want to see a version of the story that you love but not as good? Like, what's the point? So, yeah, I guess I've made my point here. I highly recommend watching the One Piece live action, especially now that season two is out and they did a really good job with it. Um, I guess I'll let me pull up a list of the episodes here and see if I could jog my memory a little bit. It has been a couple days since I saw it. I did see it the day it came out, so it was a few days ago. Um, Sorry, I forgot to specify live action. Can I get a episode list? Okay, here we go. Yeah, yeah. So the Logtown. Let me just go down the episodes and just talk a little bit about them. I have nothing better to do, and I feel like doing that. So the first episode I thought was really good. The whole Logtown episode. Like I said, including Barlameo was an excellent move. Um, there were a lot of parts that were just like the manga. Alvida, I felt like Alvida didn't look that different from season one. I mean, I know she lost weight, but I don't know. She didn't look that different. Like, I suppose that doesn't really matter. I mean, it's not like the thing about Alvida is that like in the manga, like the first time you see her, she's like, she's fat and she's ugly and she's like, not a very likable person or whatever. And then when you see her again in Logtown, she's like super hot. And she basically looks like a different person. Here Alvida basically looks the same, I would say. And she wasn't like she was never ugly. Like that actress, obviously she's beautiful. Like, you know, I guess they didn't. I guess they didn't really need to do that thing that like evolution of the character. Um, but I think she did lose a little weight, but besides that, like she pretty much looked the same. Like her face pretty much looked the same to me. Um, but that's just, that's not really even a criticism. That's just like an observation. But yeah, first episode was good. Smoker I liked. I think Smoker is pretty cool. Tashigi is pretty cool. Oh, I love the scene with Ippon Matsu and Zoro buying his sword, the new sword or new swords. Um, and he does the thing where he holds out his arm and throws a sword in the air. That 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 scene was just like the manga. It was exactly like the manga, and that's what I love to see. That's what I love to see. Good whale hunting. The second episode I enjoyed as well. They did the whole Laboon thing really cool, really well. The actor who played Crocus, he was a really good actor, and he played the role really well, and he has a cool voice. Um, but he was a little frail. Crocus is kind of like more jacked, I would say, than the actor was. But again, not really a big deal. That's not like deal breaking stuff. That's just like they like the actor and they're not gonna make him like put on 20 pounds of muscle or whatever. Um, so that's fine. Whiskey Business was also a good episode. I like the guy who plays Igaram. I forget how to pronounce his name. Uh, so yeah, so I like him. I like Vivi too, the actress who played Vivi. I like that I gotta say, I'm really liking like the inclusion of brown people, man, because there aren't that many brown people in the anime or the manga or whatever. So it's kind of cool to see them like cast people like because I mean Alabasta is supposed to be based on Egypt. So I think the actress who plays Vivi is Indian, so that's not exactly Egypt, but it's still close enough. Like I feel like that's a good thing. That's definitely a good thing. Um, Big Trouble in Little Garden. Oh yeah, and in Whiskey Business, the whole sequence where Zoro fights the 100 bounty hunters. That was really cool. That was really cool to see. Um, and then he fights Miss Monday too, which was cool too. Um, so yeah, so I was just loving seeing the scenes from the manga that I read and loved so much reenacted in live action with special effects and actors. It's like that's what you want. Like that's what you want out of an adaptation like this. Um, so yeah, so Whiskey Business was good. Big Trouble in Little Garden was good too. Um, the Giants were good. I didn't really understand why they switched the giant who drinks the explosive ale. Cause I was actually really confused when I was watching. I was like, wait, am I misremembering the manga? But no, I wasn't. They switched, like they made it Bragi instead of Dory. In the manga, Dory drinks the explosive ale. In the show, Bragi drinks the explosive ale. And I literally have no idea why they would make that change. But again, that's not a change that really impedes the storytelling. So I'm not too mad about it. I just don't understand why they made that change. I would kind of like to know the reasoning behind it. Um, oh yeah, and I like the guy who plays Mr. Nine, like Vivi's or Miss Wednesday's partner. I think he was a good cast too. I mean, everybody's a good cast basically. Um, oh yeah, and Kobe, actually, the actor who plays Kobe it seems like he got taller and a little bit like broader, which kind of works. Like I feel like that's just a coincidence because I guess he's just growing because he's young, but like it makes sense because like that's what actually happens to Kobe in the manga, so that's cool too. Um, wax on, wax off. Yeah, that was a good episode. I wouldn't say it was my favorite episode. With Mister Three and Miss Golden Week and all that stuff, and like the weird candle cake thing that's like making Vivi, Nami, and Zoro turn into wax or whatever, or it's like encasing them in wax. Um, that is in the manga, and I will admit I wasn't actually a big fan of that sequence in the manga either. So I suppose that like um, in the live action, I guess it would make sense that's like it wasn't my favorite episode of this season, but that's not the fault of the live action. I don't think, and also that I think that whole sequence was a little different. It definitely was actually like there's no Karu. Karu isn't at all in season two, but uh, she does mention him. She mentions Karu. She says, "Oh yeah, I have like a duck steed called Karu back in Alabasta." So I guess that means they're gonna include the duck steeds. I forget what they're called. I think there's like a name for like whatever species of duck they are. Um, but there's like a whole thing with the duck steeds. I guess I'll call them in Alabasta. There's like a whole like they're like I remember there was that one sequence where everybody was riding one of the duck steeds, and there was like a whole group of them and whatnot. Um, so I'm guessing they're gonna include that. Um, which would be cool if they did. If they make them look really cool, it would be that would be cool for sure. Um, what else? Nami Dearest. Okay, yeah, that was good too. Just like the manga with Nami getting sick right after Little Garden. Um, oh yeah, and then that I think that's the episode where they added yeah, they added the whole sequence with Smoker and Tashigi investigating the Marine outpost. And you see Mr. 11 and Miss Thursday because I don't think Mr. 11 and Miss Thursday, I don't think they show up in the manga at all. I don't know if they show up in the anime, I'm not sure, but they definitely don't show up in the manga. They're mentioned, I'm pretty sure, but they don't show up. So that was kind of cool. That again, that didn't take away from anything. It wasn't, you didn't need it. I suppose you could have, you know, put the budget to make that scene elsewhere, but it didn't detract from the story at all. I didn't feel like. Um, and then oh yeah, yeah. Then there was the whole episode with Dr. Hiruluk and Chopper. That was pretty much the whole episode, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. And that was pretty cool. I feel like Chopper was done pretty well. He was done pretty well in season two. That was something where like I remember when I was watching season one, I was like, are they even gonna put Chopper in the show? Like, but I'm glad they did, and I'm glad they did it well. Um, and the guy who plays Hiruluk was really good. The lady who plays Kureha is really good. Although I would have liked to see Jamie Lee Curtis as Kureha. There were some rumors that was gonna happen. Um, it's too bad that it didn't. But I think if Jamie Lee Curtis did do it, she would have been like the most famous person that they cast. So maybe she felt like, you know, it was, I mean, maybe not beneath her. Maybe that's not the right phrase, but maybe she just would rather have like another lesser known actress do it, which is a good way to go about it as well. Um, and then Deer and Loathing in Drum Kingdom. Uh, that was that the final episode. That was it was good too. I felt like Chopper looked a little when he goes into Monster Point, or not Monster Point, Heavy Point. When he goes into Heavy Point, he looks a little rough. I felt like he looked okay. It was just his shorts. Like his shorts looked a little. I think like they were a little too long and too baggy. Like they looked a little weird to me for some reason. And I guess he looked a little strange. And he was like a guy in a suit. He wasn't CGI, which I don't have a problem with. I kind of like practical special effects. Um, and if you don't need to use CGI, I don't think you should. Um, so it was fine. It was fine, but yeah. I mean, he looked a little strange, but it was okay. Um, and then what else? Oh yeah, the fight at the end with Sanji and Chopper versus uh Wapple's henchmen. Oh yeah, I felt like Wapple was pretty cool too. I felt like Wapple was pretty cool. And then they did. Oh yeah, they did the whole Reverie flashback. I'm pretty sure that happens way later in the manga too. The scene where Wapple slaps Vivi when she was a little girl. Um, well, Chiragua. Um, Yeah, yeah. So that was pretty cool to see that scene too. But I felt like the guy who played Wapple was pretty good. And and he looked just like him. He looked just like him. And oh yeah, I haven't talked about Robin yet. This is just occurring to me now. But I felt like Robin was very strong too. Um, if you don't know the manga and you don't know the anime, then I don't think you're probably not going to be watching this video, but you probably know anyway. Hopefully, I'm not spoiling, but if I am, maybe skip ahead a couple seconds, like 10, 20 seconds or something like that. But it's cool how we know that she's gonna join the Straw Hats, but I think it would be really cool for somebody who doesn't know that she's gonna join the Straw Hats to see her join the Straw Hats in the live action, because they're doing a good job with that character in the live action for sure. The actress is really good. She looks just like her. The special effects for her powers are really good. Um, yeah, yeah. Everything about Robin was really good. And yeah, yeah. I was thinking maybe they'll end the series after Enos Lobby, because like when you get down to it, I think it's fair to say that Enos Lobby is like the best One Piece arc. I love all the arcs. I love all of One Piece. Like a lot of people hate on certain parts of it, and I don't personally. I'm not. That's not how I look at it. Like I love it all. Um, but um, yeah, yeah. I feel like Enos Lobby is like the best One Piece has been. Um, because One Piece, although it's great, I love it and I look forward to it all the time. Um, it is fair to say that it is a little formulaic, like from arc to arc. There are definitely some arcs that are differently structured than other arcs, but the major arcs, like the big arcs, like Alabasta, Enos Lobby, Skypiea, Arlong Park. I'm not saying them in order. um, Enos Lobby, Dressrosa, Wano. Like a lot of those arcs are they have a similar formula, as far as the way the story's told. Like there's always the big bad guy that Luffy fights. There's always the henchman that Sanji and Zoro fight. There's always like some kind of imminent threat that's gonna destroy the island or destroy like a town or like destroy like kill a lot of civilians that they have to like stop from happening and stuff. Um, like a time limit. There's always like a time limit. Um, so yeah, so those are some reoccurring themes in some of the arcs. So if you're doing the live action and you need to, make the story more compact, more condensed, um, maybe you don't necessarily tell every single one of those arcs. Maybe you just tell Enos Lobby, which is the best one, and then you go on to Laugh Tale, or maybe like you do the time skip, and then right after the time skip, they go to Laugh Tale. I'm still just trying to figure out how they're gonna finish the series in a timely manner. I hope it works out. I hope it works out. Um, Oh yeah, I think one thing I was gonna say about the final episode of season two was the fight with Sanji and Chopper and Wapple's henchmen. That fight, like they were like it was a little different from the manga, but it was still like that also was like those kinds of changes I can understand because like I said you have budget constraints, you have time constraints, so you have to adapt, which that makes sense. So I didn't really bump into the changes with that fight, and then there was the whole sequence where Luffy jumps in front of the flag that Wappo shoots at, and then he's up there, and that scene in the manga takes place at the top of the castle, which is a little more epic, but it's fine. It's fine. At least they included it, and also it was all taking place indoors. In the manga, they're in the castle for a while, but that fight takes place out like in front of the castle, and then they did the same thing with the Syrup Village fight when Luffy was fighting Kuro. That also was happening indoors as opposed to being outside. Um, so yeah, so they seem to like to shoot scenes indoors a lot of the time. But damn, all this talking is screwing up my throat. But yeah, all that to say, very long-winded way of saying I thoroughly enjoyed One Piece season 2 of the live action show. Way better than season 1. I'm gonna rewatch it probably sometime in the not too distant future. Um and yeah, I recommend that you do the same, or you at least watch. I guess if you're gonna watch the live action and you haven't watched it yet, um, I guess watch season 1. Especially if you don't know, if you're not familiar with One Piece. If you are familiar with One Piece, I would argue you could skip season 1, and just start with season 2. But if you're not familiar with One Piece, then definitely, yeah, watch season 1, and then you'll really enjoy season 2. So, yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and end the video here. I think I'm gonna try and go back to sleep, see if I can actually sleep now. Um, but yeah, if you indeed watched me for, talk about One Piece for almost 40 minutes, thank you very much. Um, Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. I'd appreciate that. Um, yeah, that would be great if you guys could do that. I will be talking more about One Piece and various manga. I will, and I might talk about other stuff too. We'll see. But I'll definitely keep playing video games. I actually just got affiliate on Twitch, which was something I was trying to do for a long time. Um, well, not that long, a few months. But anyway, I finally got affiliate, and I would love to start earning money on Twitch. That would be great. YouTube too would be great, but I feel like Twitch would probably be more likely at this point. Both would be ideal, but yeah, if you guys could give me a follow over on Twitch, and stop by when I stream. Right now, I'm playing Darkest Dungeon. I'm a really big fan of RPGs, like turn-based RPGs. So, um, I was playing Expedition 33, and that game was so good that it kind of reignited my wants, my desire to play RPGs. Um, so after I finished Cloud Obscure Expedition 33, I actually haven't platinumed it, but I have like almost 100 hours in that game. But after I played that for a while, I kind of felt like playing a different RPG, and I had always heard about Darkest Dungeon, and I was watching. I think it was. I'm pretty sure actually it was Elijaz who was playing it. He's like a popular Twitch streamer, and like a couple months ago he was playing it, and I had heard about the game before, and I had seen the game on Twitch before, but I didn't know that much about it. But I was watching him play, and I was like, damn, that game looks like a game that I would enjoy. So I went over to Steam, and luckily for me, it was on sale for like $3, which is like such a good deal. Like for a game like that, like such a good deal. So I bought it for $3, and I was just like, even if I don't like it, like that's still money well spent. so so yeah, so all that to say, come watch me play Darkest Dungeon. If you like RPGs, if you like video games in general, if you appreciate cool art and intricate gameplay and intricate like game mechanics, it's a really cool game. I would highly recommend it. I haven't played part two yet. I'm gonna do that when I finish part one. Um, but yeah, so yeah, come watch me play Darkest Dungeon. That would be great if you guys could do that. I'll be on probably later today. It's 6:54 a.m. I'll probably be on playing Darkest Dungeon like this afternoon sometime. So yeah, if you could stop by, I'd really appreciate it. Give me a follow. A sub would be even better. If you could like type in the chat and talk to me, I would really appreciate it. So yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and end the video here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you again in the very near future. Have a good one.